You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K25. As always, hit the link in our description. You can pre-order your copy. Get your hands on that right now. The game's coming out very soon. But in the meantime, it's myself, Mooncey. Alongside me, as always, my two brothers, Mr. BJ Armstrong and Mr. Scott Perry. How's it going, my boys?
Hey. How we
Hey,
doing? How we doing?
hey,
How we doing?
Hey, real good. We got some
hey,
rare heat.
like my old mentor used to tell me, I'm on the right side of the turf. So, and BJ know who that is. Yeah, so it's a good day. It's a good
Yes,
day.
it is. Yes,
Man,
it is.
I've been living. We got some rare heat. It was like 90, 95.
Oh,
That's as hot
nice.
as we get over here. So
Love
It was
Love it.
interesting, Mo. I was reading something about the Olympics. They were saying that how hard they're going to have, what a difficult time they're going to have in the future due to global warming for some of these cities being so hot, because I guess Paris was really hot this summer.
yeah.
And they mentioned great old London as a place that will be a world city that stays on the radar because of your climate there. That in the summertime, it will be very bearable.
Yeah, I mean,
compared
we
to a lot
we
of
can
other
be
world
like
cities.
30 degrees Celsius today. That's like 90 Fahrenheit.
Mhm,
And then tomorrow it
mhm,
can be rain and gray clouds. So you get a bit of everything over here. You get a bit of
Yeah.
everything. But on yesterday's episode, BJ, you said something before we finished the show that intrigued me a little bit. And you said Jayson Tatum's going to be the MVP next season.
Yes.
I'd like you to expand on that.
Well, Jayson Tatum, first of all, is a great player, and a couple things. One, when you win a championship, one or two things happen. Either you become addicted to the winning and the process of that, or you feel like it's, like, hey, I got the monkey off my back, and then now my career is whatever, in a legacy play. Well, he won his championship or she won her championship. Now there's nothing else to discuss. Jayson Tatum won a championship, and he has, when he won the championship this year, Jaylen Brown was the MVP.
Mhm.
So it is only just a natural human experience to want to say, I got to come back. He was arguably the best player during the regular season, but Jaylen Brown was the best player in the playoffs.
Right.
You add that on to the fact of what happened over the summer. He's going to have to answer a question. Now, no one probably will say it outright to him, but it's going to be in the back of his mind. He's coming into the season. He's got to have something to prove. And he wants to prove that, that was just a fluke. So I think he has a lot of energy and a lot of things that have to be addressed this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's odd to say, because here's a man that won the championship. Here's a man that's first team All NBA. And then you're saying he's got a lot to prove. Well, and I think he will respond to that. And the reason I think he'll respond to it, because he's a professional. And I think he will respond to it in a positive way. I really do. Now, I think it's tough what has happened to him mentally in some regards. But I think he has an opportunity now to respond in a way that he can take this energy and find a way to play. If it's one thing I learned from being around great players, they find a reason to be at their very best. Jayson Tatum has a reason this year to be at his all-time best. He has a reason. And it's not like, well, I'm just going to show you guys for the first month of this. He has a reason to go from start to finish to say, listen, I'm here. This wasn't a fluke. I'm going to be 3-time All NBA. I'm going to win the championship, and I'm going to put everything to rest. And I know he's going to, it's 2 games I know he's going to be unbelievable in. Okay. You can circle them games. There's 2 games I know will be statement games for him. Now, he can say otherwise. It's just another game on the schedule. But there will be 2 games he will be exceptional. So, and with that, you already got storylines. And listen, when you start practicing against players every day, there's only a natural hierarchy that's going to occur, whether you want it or not. That's just what it is. Jayson Tatum was getting a DNP CD.
Got 2 of them, both against Serbia.
Yes. So he's got a few things he's got to take care of, and he was practicing with those guys every day. So he's got a lot of pride. He's got a lot of things he doesn't have to prove it, but he's going to want to do it. And I just think he's young enough. He's energetic enough. And I just think it's just a natural thing for him. He's got a reason to play.
Do you think, though, that will disrupt the Celtics? Because they've won through this team basketball, going
I'm gonna tell you what. Jaylen Brown got something to prove too.
Yeah. That's for sure. He was left off completely.
It's one thing. I remember what the Pistons did, that Scott Perry and Joe Dumars team that they put together. They put together a team, I don't want to call them misfits, but they all had something to prove when they got to Detroit. Chauncey Billups had something to prove. Rip Hamilton has something to prove. Ben Wallace has something to prove.
Yeah, start with him. Yeah.
It's a common denominator. It's a common denominator. They
Rasheed
had
Wallace,
those 2.
Rasheed Wallace had something to prove. Even though he was talented, he had to prove that he could win.
Yes.
To win, yeah.
The Pistons, small market, no max player, quote unquote, by league standards, no superstar player. Yeah. They had something to prove. Everybody has something to prove. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum this year together, they have something to prove. Now, as wild as that may sound, they will, I think, this has a chance now for them to bond over. It's funny when things happen to you that that you got to overcome. It's only mentally tough people are the only people that's capable of looking at that and overcoming that. Well, Jaylen Brown, you can't tell me Jaylen Brown is not upset not making the team. You can't tell. He can't say, "Nah, that doesn't bother me." No, it did bother him. It had to bother him. He's a prideful man, and the way his game has improved since he's been in the league. Clearly, it means something to him. For him not to get that call,
and he's represented USA before.
Yeah.
Okay. Jayson Tatum, man, they can take this energy. They can win 30 games in a row this year and still be upset and be mad because they know what it really
still
means.
mad when they get to the finals.
That's what I'm saying. But they probably more than likely they're going to see one of these. Jayson Tatum is going to see one of his former teammates for the Olympics. One of those guys are probably going to be there. There were what 50 or 60 guys in the NBA
like 64 players from the NBA in the Olympics.
In the NBA in the Olympics.
Former or current.
So he's got something to let everybody know. I don't know what the rotations was, but they got that wrong. I just think those 2, they got a chip on their shoulder and it's big. And if channeled correctly, they could go on a run. Because they could bond over this. This is something that they all could look at and be like, none of this really matter. We just gonna go through this league. And I think they could, and they're young enough to do it. I mean, they could go on a 5 or 6 year run with their youth. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it play out. But I certainly think it's set up now for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown now to really go on a tour and really take this and say, you know what? They are the outcasts, superstars in the NBA, and really position themselves where, you know what? Hey, just they understand because both of them, it's only human that they would feel that way. I feel that way for him, and I don't know them like that. I know them enough to say hello, but I don't know them. But I just think it's set up for both of them now to really. I think the Celtics are probably going to have an amazing year. I mean, they had an amazing year last year, but I really think they could go on a run now.
Would you like to hear the top 10 favorites for MVP for next season, according to Las Vegas?
Sure.
Yeah.
At number 10, Mr. Ja Morant, because he also has something to prove after not playing in the past season.
Yeah. No,
he's had a lot of people forget about him. And, he's looking at that Team USA. He wants to be on there in 2028.
Yep.
At number 9, Victor Wembanyama. BJ, you sent me his quote after the game. He's telling every opponent in the world they should be worried. Wemby's at number 9. Number 8, Scott, you'll like this one, is Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
That New York media push might just help him. At 10, 9, 8, 7, Jayson Tatum. He's the 7th highest odds, according to Las Vegas. Ahead of him, we have Anthony Edwards, who I think now, because he gets so much love from everyone, he could be a strong shout. Above Anthony Edwards is another player that people seem to have forgotten about a little bit. That's Giannis Antetokounmpo. We're going to talk about him later in the show. Ahead of him, now we're getting to the top 4. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And Scott, I remember that was
4.
Yeah, they've got Shai at 4.
Okay.
They've got Embiid at 3. They've got Doncic at 2. And they've got the Joker at number 1 for another MVP.
Right.
Wow.
Wow. That is something.
What's the biggest surprise to you on that list?
The biggest surprise, look, Joker's a great player and 3-time MVP, and will, for the next few years be in the conversation for it. I don't know if I would place him at 1 for next season.
I mean, he could very well have just won his 4th straight MVP and go in for a 5th.
Yeah. But I don't know that I'd have him there. For me, and I said this on one of the shows, Shai Gilgeous is my guy, because I think that he set the table. If you follow MVP voting, a lot of times a guy will have a terrific year, breakout year, the year before that he actually receives the award. We've seen it with Joel Embiid when he recently won his. Giannis before he won his first one. You get on the voters' minds, and I just believe because Oklahoma City, as long as they stay healthy, and in addition to what they've added in the offseason, they're my odds-on favorite to be, at minimum, the second place team in the Western Conference, but they're my favorite to be at the top, and that factors into the MVP voting. BJ, again, I don't know when that list came out. Did that just come out a day, right after the Olympics or pre-Olympics? Because
no, this was 10 days ago.
Okay, yeah. So
it may have changed. I don't really follow.
Well, you look at Jayson Tatum, because look, I lived what BJ was talking about, being around guys who were united by really what they felt was by slights from the entire NBA community. And say what you want, and I read an article on Jayson Tatum earlier today, and once again, he handled it professionally. But this is going to be the 2024 Olympics for him. Yeah, he got the gold medal. He was part of the team, but the narrative was he didn't play in 2 games. And no way to say that's hurtful, hard to explain. And so he will be fueled by that, in addition to his teammate being fueled by the fact that how he couldn't have been the next guy in line to come join that team, having been the MVP of the NBA Finals. So I've seen the power in that. Again, the unification that the two of them will have. And if they hadn't had the conversation already, they'll be having that conversation here probably the next week. Okay, these guys really don't believe in us.
Right.
Let's show them.
As as you were saying this list, more I was writing it down, right? And as Scott, I always tell this to Scott off air. It's not what you say, it's what you don't say is more important. That's how I always look at the show. It's not all of the narratives and the positions that we take and all the points that we make. It's what you don't say. I'm gonna throw out 4 names that's not on this list.
Oh,
That it's just shouting to me.
okay.
KD is not on this list.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anthony Davis is not on this list.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron is not on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Steph Curry is not on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because
Now, what you gonna say, man?
they're bigger risks to not play the necessary games to win us the war because of their age or their injury history.
But what this signifies to me is that now we're in the new era.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this list signified to me, that you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's up for grabs. I don't know whose league. I don't know which one of these guys are gonna grab the face of the NBA, and I don't know which one of these guys is going to accept this responsibility. It's one thing to have the talent, but it's another thing to want to be in that spotlight. Now, this signifies to me that the NBA now is saying, okay, LeBron, KD, and Steph, who were the faces of this group, now it's over. And we're moving in a new direction. Wemby, who didn't make the All-Star team, suddenly is in the top 10 for MVP. I'm not gonna let them off the hook on that. Whoever made that call. Anthony Edwards, clearly
should be higher. He should be higher.
Yeah, what he is coming off. Shea could have easily. You could argue that he could have been MVP just a year ago, right? Jokic certainly.
Yeah,
was just as deserving, but Shea had a phenomenal year, and I think it's open.
And Luka, something to prove because he didn't qualify for the Olympics and he got to the finals and lost. So he's going to be coming back, and the Mavs are going to have a better position in the standings with the full season of Gafford and Washington on their team. I think the MVP will come from whoever is first place in the Western Conference, unless
I think
unless the Spurs can somehow get into the top 4. Then it's got to be Wemby.
Yeah, well, I would say at least at minimum the top 2. You're gonna be able to make a case.
The reason why I say 1 is I think that's going to be the differentiating factor between someone like Shea, between someone like Luka, between someone like Anthony Edwards, because oftentimes these MVP races are so close to call that might just be what puts over the top. Who can secure the home court?
To BJ's point, though, and I don't foresee this, but what if Phoenix or LA ends up in the top 2 or 3 in the regular season?
I would be shocked.
And I would too. But I'm saying if they end up that high, top 2 or 3, given the resumes of Durant and LeBron and Anthony Davis, and let's put Golden State in the mix.
Discount Devin Booker as well, who was fantastic.
Oh, exactly. No question. Yeah, and let's put Golden State. If somehow they ended up in the top 3, and again, I don't think that any of those 3 teams in there, but if they do, then that really could muddle the whole MVP voting process there, because now you're talking about teams that are quote unquote out kicking their coverage during the regular season. I think all those teams can be dangerous in the playoffs, but if they have that kind of sustained excellence in the regular season where they can be a top 3 team in the Western Conference, LeBron's a former MVP, KD's been one, Steph's been one. That could muddle the race a little bit, to me. But again, Ja Morant's on that list. If Memphis takes a big jump from not being in the playoffs to 3rd, I don't think they have to go to 1 for him to get there. To get to 3, where you're, top 3, 2 or 3 seed. Depending on the year. So it'd be interesting.
Another player with a lot to prove that we mentioned was Giannis. And not only did Greece go crashing out the Olympics and the Bucks have been bad in the last couple of years in the playoffs, but they were left off the Christmas Day schedule because some of the games have been announced. We've got the Spurs at the Knicks, the Timberwolves at the Mavericks, the 76ers at the Celtics, the Lakers at the Warriors, and the Nuggets at the Suns. No Milwaukee Bucks on Christmas Day. Which of those matchups is your must see? Which is the number one matchup that you're looking forward to on there?
Well, you know, Mo, I'm partial because I've sat there in the garden on that 12 o'clock p.m. day, kicking off Christmas Day in New York City. Great game, great event to be a part of. And you know the entire city of New York will be tuning in, and then New Yorkers all over this country too. So that may end up being your most watched one. Maybe in the Lakers Golden State one, possibly because
Steph and
now because Steph and LeBron, you know, will this be the last time that they ever play against each other on Christmas Day, or it's one of the last ones? So that, you know, I think those will probably be the two most watched games. And then, you know, Wemby coming into town, even though the Spurs are projected to be this world beater, but what better way for him to show America? And he's already showed America a lot. But again, for those who don't regularly watch the NBA is on in most households over here in America.
Let me reintroduce myself.
Exactly. So Wemby now on that stage, if you know Wemby comes in and puts in a triple-double and the Spurs go in there and win.
No. Triple-double, no. This is Wembyama, a quadruple-double.
Triple-double. Yeah, I'm sorry. I stand corrected because I forgot he could get 10 blocks. I forgot about that. Exactly.
Wembyama is the only one I don't agree with you all that say they got to finish first or second in the conference.
Yeah.
Wembyama can put up some numbers. He can put up a quadruple-double. And then say he can do something no one has done since like Wilt Chamberlain or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think he will this year, because he should be able to average 30 minutes a night. If Coach Pop doesn't play him 30 minutes this year, okay, I got to go down there and talk to Coach Pop. Okay, this man's got to at least be playing anywhere between 32 and 35 minutes. Now, you know, 35 might be the high end, but we got to get him to at least 32 minutes a night this year. Okay, and I know he's a young player and so forth and so on, and they're going to be cautious and all those things. However, this young man here is ready to play, and I'm ready to see it. And I need a quadruple double on Christmas Day. I in the garden. Hey, that's the Mecca.
Yeah.
Hey, give the people what they want, Mo, so that you and I, Scott, can talk about it. Absolutely. And say, hey.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of rising stars, though, Anthony Edwards, his ascent to superstardom is being highlighted because opening night of the NBA season, we'll see the Knicks at the Celtics, where the Celtics will receive their rings and raise their 18th championship banner. And the second game of opening night is the Timberwolves at the Lakers. Anthony Edwards and LeBron going head-to-head. A few other notable things on the schedule. Klay Thompson's first trip back to the Bay Area will be November the 12th, where the Mavericks take on the Warriors. What else? What else have we got? Milwaukee versus Philadelphia. Their season will start on October the 23rd. Giannis and Embiid.
Where's that game at?
At Philly. So we get to see Paul George in his new uniform. The Celtics and Mavericks rematch dates will be the 25th of January in Dallas and the 6th of February in Boston. And the Clippers will be opening their new Inuit Dome for the first time on the regular season on the 23rd of October, hosting the Phoenix Suns. So a little Kawhi KD matchup to open the Inuit Dome. So that's some of the notable dates coming up from the regular season. The full schedule should be announced very soon. But I'm excited. I don't know about you guys. Well, I do know about you guys. You're excited too. But I'm already looking forward to opening night, and I'm already looking forward to Christmas Day, because I think basketball-wise as well, on Christmas Day, that Mavericks-Timberwolves game, I know that Anthony Edwards and his squad is going to have a lot to prove after going crashing out in the playoffs to the Mavs last year. So basketball-wise, that might just be the best one. And then the Celtics and the Sixers. That's always good TV.
Oh,
Hey,
no,
Scott, I wanna
look,
ask you a question.
all of them are great matchups. I just, when the TV ratings come in, those two games I brought up,
Yeah.
they will be the highest rated. But from a basketball perspective, I agree with you. Those other two games are awesome. It's a great slate of basketball. If you're not, go ahead. I was saying, if you're not careful, the kids won't even be able to open up their gifts because you'd be glued to the television all day watching basketball games. So,
Scott, I want to get your views on this. Are you surprised that the Timberwolves haven't made a move yet?
No, I'm not totally surprised. Just again, they're a team that's in that second apron, so they're very limited on what they can do outside of the organization. From their standpoint, I believe what they did in the draft. They're looking to the draft to kind of help build out their depth. I know they lost our guy Slow-Mo, Kyle Anderson. They lost him to Golden State. And that could be a loss for them because, he's one of those glue type players, especially for your second unit. And if one of the starters goes down, he brings that versatility to defend. In my mind, and I know there been a lot of talk about Karl Anthony Towns as being the guy, as kind of the carrot that they would eventually move. I'm not surprised because they went to the conference finals. They're going to come back and see what this team looks like in the first half of the season. Is this team hungry? Have they gotten a little bit better? Did they learn from what happened in that finals against the Dallas Mavericks? And will they be poised to make that deep run again? I could see this team trying to do something in season if, again, for some reason they get off to an uneven start or don't look from the perspective of the front office, Tim Connelly and Matt Lloyd and those guys, if they don't like what they're seeing, I can see them trying to make a move. But again, they're going to be limited. You can't aggregate two players and trade them. When you're a second apron team like that, you can't take on additional monies when you trade one-to-one, do a one-to-one deal. So it makes it a little bit harder. But they gotta be, to your point, I get what you're saying. When you're in that position, you always gotta be open. And I believe that group is open to doing something. There probably was just nothing there that they felt they wanted to change the core dynamic of what the team is right now. And they're gonna roll the dice and see. Ant will be a year better. They're planning on that. I thought Jaden Daniels was really good.
Yeah, right. And they did a lot of work for the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was
the draft. That's what I said. They got that's what I said. They went through the draft. They picked up the kid from Illinois with Terrence Shannon, who's an older player, 5-year collegiate. So he should be able to contribute a little bit early on because he's older, got experience, from a strength perspective, he's more ready. Dillingham is a younger player who's small and slight of build. It may be a little uneven for him early on, but I know that they like him a lot and they believe he can provide some electric scoring off the bench. So let's see what happens with him. Is he one of those guys that hits the ground running? Or is it going to be, like I said, a little bit hit or miss early on until he, gets a little older, stronger, and can develop?
Well, you don't have to wait until the NBA season begins to see these guys all on the court together because you can pre-order NBA 2K25 and have over a month of playing with the new look rosters before the NBA season tips off in October. So make sure you hit the link in the description to pre-order your copy now. We'll be back tomorrow with more basketball talk. We'll find some stuff to talk about. It's the off season, but I'm sure there's a few things that we can get cooking. So appreciate you both. We'll be back. And until next time, subscribe to the show and get buckets.